If you're recently divorced, the last couple of years, you may start seeing couples, and you may, if you haven't found somebody else that you can really love, you may begin reflecting about your marriage, why it divorced, why it broke. What was your part? What was your responsibility? What happened that you couldn't get over, that you couldn't forgive, that you couldn't move on from? And in a lot of cases, couples reach out to their ex. And sometimes that reaching out turns out to be a terrible mistake. They maybe have one night as a hookup, or they get together and they both get intoxicated, and it goes, once again, they're torn apart and they feel badly. But sometimes when they reach out to their ex, there's a really good conversation and there's a dialogue. And that's probably why I see a lot of partners in my office asking, is there any hope of getting back together? Is there any way up front if you can make it work with your ex again? Well, through the years, we've done a lot of research in this area, and things change as people have been, if you left your ex a long time ago, it's certainly different, and you have more going for you in the positive way of it working out than if you've just recently divorced. However, I want to go through a list of questions that I think it's really important to ask yourself before you get involved with an ex. And the first of these is, what was the cause of the breakup, and has it been resolved? Whatever the cause of the breakup is significant. And talking about how it was resolved, did you both go to therapy? Did your partner recognize it and get help? What happened? That question is so important, and you can't answer it partially, and you can't answer it flippantly. It's important you think about it, that you know your facts, that you're sure those are facts before you would ever end up going back into a relationship with this person. And secondly, how long were you apart? The longer you're apart, the better it bodes for the relationship. If you have a 5, 10, 15-year space, then it's more likely you've done a lot of reflection, and whatever was going on, you were able to go to therapy and get the help you needed. And rejoining, usually, if it's going to work, it happens in couples who have been apart the longest. Next, do you miss this person, or do you just hate being alone? I talk to a lot of exes, and I talk to their partners. And what I find out is what they thought divorce would be like is not what they're living. And therefore, they start like kind of beating themselves up or feeling like, I should have never left. They get dating again and they realize, wow, there's not a lot of people like my ex out here. They're frustrated, they're dissatisfied, they hate being alone. Now, if you hate being alone and any body is a good body, that's one thing. But if you realize that you maybe made a mistake, or that you overlooked something significant about the two of you, that's a possibility that the relationship could potentially work. Of course, it takes a lot of work on both sides, and you can control you, but you can't control them. So that would be important to remember. Have they changed? Now, yes, I do believe people change, but it is not easy. And what makes a change is if that person is motivated enough to want to be a better person, and they change. No matter how much you nag them, no matter how much you set it up, enable it, make it easy for them to get change, they're not going to get change unless they want it. And if this person did not get the mental health care they needed, the counseling, if they did not put the effort into the work, then I don't care what you do, this would be a line in the sand that it probably wouldn't be a good idea to try and work this out. And lastly, do they make your life easier and better, or make more chaotic and drama? A healthy relationship is all about the two of you making each other's life better and easier. If the other partner adds chaos and drama to your life, that's a bad sign. And it's a bad sign as far as trying to regenerate another relationship with this person. So be careful with this. If you decide, I'd like to date this person, I'd like to really see what it's like, make sure you understand anybody can do this for a short time. But going for a long time in a healthy relationship, that's a whole nother story. And you want to make sure the person has a foundation, which is good therapy, good thinking, emotional maturity to handle that. Just some questions you need to ask if you think you're going to go back to your ex.